Hey there, just a heads up, lasers go pew, and this video contains some bright flashing lights. Hey there, it's Chris from Good Roads, and lasers are pretty dang cool. I've been thinking for a long time that a laser cutter or engraver has massive potential for the projects that I want to do, so imagine my delight when Atezr reached out to see if I wanted to test out one of their machines. So, let me do the disclosure thing up front. They sent me this machine free of charge, but the only requirement was that I make a video within a certain time frame. They aren't paying me for a good review, and the only restriction on what I could say in the video is that I can't cuss, which I think is pretty funny. But I try not to do that on the channel anyway, so I think we'll be alright. Let's get into it. The Atezr P20 Plus is a 20-watt diode-based laser cutter and engraver. It came really well packaged, everything was safe and secure in foam rubber inserts. And as far as assembly goes, I've built quite a few little Cartesian machines over the years, and I would put this in the middle of the pack as far as difficulty. It's not as simple as the 3D printers where you just attach the Z-axis and gantry and you're ready to go, but it isn't a full-on erector set of a kit either. And the assembly instructions are fantastic. They're clear and easy to follow. All in all, it took me about an hour to get the machine put together and ready to run. And it is a big boy. At least in terms of the machines I'm used to working with, it just barely fits on my workbench. The working area is 430 millimeters squared, or about 17 inches squared if you're in Imperial land. All of the components seem really well made. It's a belt-driven machine and the frame is sturdy. I appreciate that it's a custom extrusion instead of the standard 20x40 extrusion we see in a lot of 3D printers. All of the electronics housing is metal and looks super clean. It's got a touchscreen, power button, card reader, your standard connectivity, and an emergency stop. I wrongly assumed that the e-stop was overkill, but I actually ended up using it in my testing, so thumbs up on that. And the screen attaches magnetically, which is honestly real freaking neato. The laser module itself, again, has an aluminum housing, includes air cooling, and has some tinted windows so you can get a look at what the machine is doing while it's running. They also sent along an air assist, which I believe is the plus in the Atezr P20 Plus. It's an air compressor that pushes air through a flexible tube into the tool head, through some built-in routing, and out past the laser beam itself. The point of an air assist on a system like this is to blow smoke away from the working area, clearing the path for the beam and giving you a cleaner cut or engraving line. And I'll say right now, I found it super valuable. Overall, I'm incredibly impressed with the construction. As someone coming to laser cutting from 3D printing, this feels like a very well-made machine. But mine is a rather uninformed opinion because I've never used a laser cutter before, so why don't we go ahead and fix that? Here we go. Power this bad boy on. Ooh, it's loud. The cooling fan on the laser module has some volume to it, and it runs constantly as long as the machine is on. The air assist adds a bit of noise too. The machine came with a sheet of what I believe is stainless steel backing to keep the laser from burning your work surface, so let's slap that down. And it also came with these little sample work pieces. I'm gonna grab some of these plywood rectangles to try to cut my teeth on this whole laser thing. Now, the assembly instructions were fantastic, but the usage instructions were a lot less clear. However, the machine did come with some test projects loaded on the card, so I'm gonna do something kinda dumb and just go for it. I got the diode in a position that I thought was centered over the workpiece, and then there's this little kickstand on the back of the toolhead, on the back of the laser unit. You flip it down, loosen the knob holding the Z height, and lower the laser until the kickstand is touching the workpiece, and that ensures that the focal point of the laser is at the right height. You lock the toolhead back in place, flip the kickstand up out of the way, and I should be ready to rock, right? I like having eyes, and being able to see is pretty cool. So I'm going to put on these included safety goggles and then start one of the test jobs. Oh, okay, never mind. Okay. Well, I missed the mark, and the air assist blew the workpiece away. I'm happy to chalk that up to user error, seeing as I have no idea what I'm doing, but it does look like the test pattern started to burn correctly. Let me try this again, running the air assist more gently to see if we can't get a better result. Okay, it's off-center, which, again, user error, but that's pretty cool. I spent some time messing around with the test files and different functions on the machine to see if I could better get the hang of getting the workpiece positioned right. There's a function that shines the laser at a super low power so you can see where it is. And another function that traces the outline of the design you're cutting. But I found the touch interface to be fairly confusing, both with what the individual functions were meant to do and in the phrasing that was supposed to describe them in some places.
What the heck? That's weird.
However, I have a much easier time wrapping my head around a process if I'm guiding it from start to finish. So the next step for me was to make a design for myself and go through the whole process of running a project. I followed the instructions on how to install Lightburn, a laser cutting software, and imported the settings for this machine in particular, all of which was included in the documentation. The instruction manual that came with has this cool table of powers and speeds for different materials, and I've got some scrap leather lying around, so I'm going to try to make a patch. I moved over to Illustrator and quickly put a design together. And after a quick little Google search, it looks like you can just copy and paste straight from Illustrator into Lightburn.
Holy crap, that's awesome.
Okay, well that's one of the coolest CAM workflow features I've ever run into. Sick. But, I guess I have no idea how to use this program.
A few tutorials later.
Okay, I set my different engrave and burn functions to different layers, and set the speeds and power levels for those functions based on the tables in the booklet. And it seems an awful lot like these machines are best controlled directly from a computer, similar to the way you'd run a CNC router. Maybe that's just my inexperience showing through, but for now I think I'm going to keep doing this as I get the hang of it. And the work interface does make a bit more sense to me here. So with slightly more confidence and a bunch of trepidation, let's get some material set up, get the height set, and send it, brah. Wait, not like that! I told you that e-stop was gonna come in handy. Alright, let's pick a flatter section of this wrinkly piece of leather and try again. Dude, that is so freaking cool. The laser cut clean through the leather. I was even able to cut out the little holes for stitching. And on the engraving side of things, the line is so much more fine than I expected to be. This machine has got some really impressive resolution. After some amateurish stitching and a podcast episode or two later, I now have a custom, one-of-a-kind Good Roads hat. And I'm giving myself a pat on the back for my first completed laser cutter project. I think I might love this thing. But I'm not satisfied with that. I've had a burning question about laser cutters ever since these diode modules started getting strong enough to cut thin plywood. Can we use them to cut boards? Listen, is this only the fourth time I've run the machine? Yes. Do I know what I'm doing at this point? No, not at all, really. Am I gonna try to cut out a fingerboard and burn a graphic? Brother?
You better believe it.
I'm using one of my deck shaping blocks as some temporary tooling, and I did my best to align it by first burning my shape into an underlying piece of plywood. I got my deck in place, and bit by bit sent the laser through multiple passes to cut it out. I wasn't sure on the power and speed settings since this was an unusual wood combination and the curves of the deck also meant that the focal distance of the laser would be changing. So these are settings that I can dial in on and refine over time, but the proof is in the pudding.
There we go. Man, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
This works. And now that we have the deck cut out, how about adding a graphic? Well, dang howdy, that works too. I'm going to want to develop some better work holding and alignment tools, but as a proof of concept, I am super excited about this little experiment. And while I'm chomping at the bit to get at the potential this machine has, I'm gonna wrap up my testing there because I keep setting off my smoke detectors. I definitely need a more permanent, better ventilated workspace for this machine to live in. So that's the Atezr P20 Pro, a well-built, capable machine with some minor interface quirks that I'm thrilled to have in my shop. The potential for this thing is off the charts. I can't wait to get it set up and start making stuff for y'all. I've already got some more leather on order, so look forward to patches hitting the shop soon. Thanks for Atezr for reaching out and getting me this machine. If you want to grab one for yourself, there is a link down below, and that is an affiliate link. So if you want one of these bad boys, you can grab one for yourself at no extra cost and help support the channel a little bit too. It'd be pretty appreciated. And that's going to be it for this one. I love having you along for the ride, so until next time, I'll see you soon.